Hello, everybody. Welcome to the relationship party. I'm your girl, Charmaine. And boy, I got to tell y'all, today is going to be an exciting interview. I have Miss Christal Jordan, the author of Dear Alpha Female. It is not him, it's you. Now, I know y'all going to think this is my sister because y'all think I beat up on y'all, but I promise y'all, that's not what this is. Well, welcome to the show, Crystal. Thank
Thank
you so much for being here.
thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Okay, so Crystal, you're in Atlanta too.
I am in
And I'm
Atlanta.
so glad so you were able to come in live. Let me ask you a quick question. What made you write this book?
Ooh, so what made me write this book is I um, am a very career driven, agenda goal oriented woman, which is also what I define as an alpha female. We get into semantics about alpha this, alpha that, but my definition of an alpha female is someone who's in leadership. I own my own business. I had staff, and I've always been I've always found myself in leadership positions. So that's what I'm detailing that as and defining that as an alpha female. And I realized I was having a lot of trouble dating here in Atlanta and it was my fault. What I learned later is it was my fault. And I realized that a lot of my friends, the women that I was around, my tribe, as we like to say it,
Yeah.
they had the same ideals. We all were very driven when it came to business. We all prioritized business first. And for a lot of us, relationships were not a priority. And investing in a relationship was not a priority.
Well, let me ask you this. Did you realize it wasn't a priority? Did you think that it was a priority, but you weren't making it one? Or
I actually knew at one point, I was married early on and then I went through a divorce.
okay.
And when I went through a divorce is when my business took off because you know how we do as
Yeah.
women. You go through heartbreak, you take all that heartbreak and you invest it into your business. And so I remember talking to one of my girlfriends that was in a relationship and I said to her, "Well, there's what is the ROI on me going out on dates?" So at that point, I was aware that I was looking at it as a transaction. Like I can waste time going out on dates where I probably end up wasting time because time is important. To a
Yeah,
business person,
absolutely.
time is the most important commodity I had. And I did realize that spending 2 hours with a person I did not know with no guarantee that that would lead anywhere to me was a very poor decision of how to use my time. So I did less of that and focused more on business because I knew there would be a return on my investment in business. But the problem was I was looking at dating the same way I was looking at my business, and that was wrong.
Right. Well, first, let me say congratulations on recognizing,
Mhm,
because we have to recognize before we can make a change.
mhm,
So now, because of this culture of alpha female, right?
mhm.
Everybody's going to get the bag.
Yep.
Everybody's on that. What do you think are some of the causes of
Mm.
that?
I think first of all, we have to validate women's feelings. We have to understand that for myself and most of the women that I know, that this culture created women that are this way. A lot of us were
Yes.
raised by single moms
Yep.
who may have been raised by single moms themselves or women that were very unhappy in relationships and women that said, you know what, I don't want my daughter to have to stay in a relationship that she's not happy in. I want her to have the means to be able to take care of herself. And so my mother and my grandmother taught me, you make sure that you can take care of yourself. And they never said, rely, trust too much on a man. In fact, my grandmother would say, "Put you some money to the side, so if that man messes up, you can always leave." She was very strong, very independent, and raised a very strong, very independent daughter who raised another very strong,
Right.
independent daughter. And so I don't think that that's a negative thing,
Right.
but I
Absolutely.
do think that there's another side that a lot of us, women of color, were not really prepared for. No one ever said that there's beauty in being a wife. There's beauty in being in a relationship and that there are men that you can trust and that you can work with in a partnership. What I heard were the dangers of what to do when you deal with a man that is not, you know, worthwhile. A man that ain't, as my grandmother would say, worth a nickel's worth of
right.
SHIT.
Right.
She never gave me the other side. And so what we're trying to do, at least what I'm trying to do with this book is bring some balance, right? Because if you go through life focused on what you don't want, you will definitely end up with that.
Oh, listen, we talk about that so much here because that's what you usually get.
Mhm.
You so much that if somebody really asks you what you want,
Right.
everybody says, I want somebody that's faithful. Okay.
I
I
don't
want
want, right,
somebody that's honest.
right.
Okay, but you really don't know what you really want.
Mhm,
You want those character traits that everybody else wants. But
mhm,
now, as you as a unique individual,
right.
what is it that you want? So now you and I talked a little bit before,
Mhm,
and I was saying that I think some of our parents,
mhm.
moms, grandmothers, were telling us stuff out of their own pain, like
Absolutely.
you just said, right?
Mhm,
And they just didn't mean to exclude the man.
mhm.
And you said, no, it was meant to exclude him, right?
For my grandmother, my granny meant to exclude him
Right.
because she had been hurt, right? And she had not seen a positive experience. My grandmother, was raised in a home where her father beat her mom.
Ah,
Her mother actually died in childbirth. He found another woman to come in and take care of his 8 children, and he did not treat her kind. He worked. He was not loving towards the children. So she developed an attitude of, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to make sure that I can always take care of myself. And she was very much in survival mode. My grandmother would say, God helps those who help themselves. She never said, you can find a man that's different, because she didn't see that. And so I think that we have to start. I've used an example of, you only take medicine when you're sick. Once you've healed, then there's no need to take the medicine, or it will make you sick. And so I think a lot of us are operating based on generations of pain and generations of trauma. And so we have to let that go. I think that what women have done is amazing. As a Black woman, I am always in awe of
yes.
my sisters that are so accomplished. And I just feel like iron sharpens iron. I'm blessed to be around a lot of amazing women, right? But I also feel like I'm blessed enough to be around a lot of amazing men as well. And what's so interesting is I have this great group of guy friends and great group of female friends. And I feel like we could be stronger together if we can figure that out. And so we have to stop approaching relationships from the vantage point of, this is what I don't want. And I'm going to make sure you don't take advantage of me. And instead, operate from a position of, I believe that something amazing is out there, and that amazing man is there. And there's no need to punish him, to make him or put him through hell or
Right.
the fire when you first meet him. And I think that's what a lot of us career women are used to doing. At our jobs, we have to have this defensive exterior on, and we take that on dates.
You know what? It's so funny that you said that because I remember I did an event, and this was some years ago. It was a wine bar here called Vino Seduction.
Mhm. I remember that.
And we did an event there, and I was telling the ladies, it was a relationship party event, and they were sitting there like this. And I was like, if y'all don't put them shoulders down, y'all look like when he come over here, he better come like he get
Mhm.
ready to come on the interview.
Mhm. That
A
part.
man likes peace.
Mhm.
Now he gotta go out here and do this interview. Now he gotta come through a whole nother one, man. Imma need you to
Relax, ma'am.
relax.
But lots of us don't know how to relax.
Right.
And we don't know how to relax. And so that's why I came up with, like, dating tips for women, because
Okay.
I needed that. I could tell you guys, I went on some dates that I messed up completely, because a lot of times I would go straight from work to a date.
Okay.
Wrong thing to do.
Right. Don't
Wrong thing to
decompress. You
do.
don't have time to switch gears from
Get
CEO.
code
Right.
switch, right?
Right.
And so now I tell women, when you're getting ready to go on a date, do not ever go straight from work. I have a girlfriend that would say, "Well, I'll make it a breakfast meeting." It's like, it's just, but God bless us. We've figured out what works in one area, and we're sticking to that, right? I can schedule him in.
Right.
And that's what I would do. I would go on lunch dates. I would leave the office, go, come back, and I'm not out of my work energy. And so I show up at the date, I got X amount of time. I got to get back to work. And that is not welcoming for a man that's looking for peace. That's already like, okay, what do you, let me make my spiel before you need to go back to work. Right. So what I say is, come home, for me, I love to take a bath. I love a bubble
Okay.
bath
You
that
get
gets
ready
me,
for that
it
day, girl.
connects me with Crystal, that gets me
Okay.
excited. I love just being able to I've always liked dresses and things that make me feel feminine, and, make me feel like the Crystal that I want to present, right? So colors that are soft and colors that are bright, as opposed to wearing black and brown like I
Right.
wear a lot of times for work. Also just making sure that I'm in a peaceful place, because I remember going on a date and being so stressed out that the guy was just like, he just it just was like, "Are you okay?" And I was I was taking all of that with me, and I would say if you're not able to let it go, then you're probably not ready to date. You know, if you're so stressed out and you have so much going on that you can't get out of that space, you're not ready to date. But I also think a big part of life is being balanced.
Yeah.
So we have to find that
Yeah.
balance because you don't want life to pass you by without balance.
You know what I also love? The fact that I tell people, talk to people who've been on a date with you.
Mhm, mhm,
Because the way you, because I'm gonna go in here and not the way you think you're coming across, you
mhm,
can't cover up
mhm,
some
mhm.
things that are there. Because there's a thing called aura,
Energy,
there's a
absolutely.
vibe, there's
Mhm,
energy, right?
mhm,
That as much as you try to fake it with the words or
mhm,
your physical posture,
mhm.
it's not gonna work, y'all.
Absolutely.
So really, one of my suggestions, go back and talk to maybe the last 3 people that you've been on a date and be like,
Mhm,
"Listen,
mhm,
I'm really working on me and this dating thing. I wanna
mhm.
ask you, and I want you to be totally honest. It
Yeah,
won't hurt my feelings
right.
because 'cause I'm in this
'Cause he's
place
gonna
of."
be afraid at first.
Right.
Because 'Cause I've done that, and I've done that, and guys are like, they look like a deer caught in a headlight, but I did that, and I realized that I was dating wrong. First of all, I was a publicist, so I had 2 phones, and I would go on a date and put on a dinner date and put my 2 phones on the table. And I didn't know I was wrong. I
Right,
thought I
right,
was just being efficient, like,
right.
I need to know if the phone rings. And so a lot of them told me that was very unattractive. I would tell guys like, "Well, let me see when I have time to date. It may be 2 weeks from now." And that was also unattractive, you know? So I learned a lot, and I put all of that in this book because I really had no idea that I was turning men off. And I think a lot of times we feel like if someone isn't interested in taking the relationship to the next level, there's something wrong with him. We never assume that maybe he took you out on a date and there was something that you did that made him redirect.
Right. Because if a man is on a date, well, outside of sex, because y'all know how they do, right? But if he's really looking for something, he's looking for a mate.
Mhm.
So your 2 phones and your CEO position,
Yeah.
as a matter of fact, really,
Mhm.
and I know someone because he intimidate. No,
No,
he
he's
just
not
be like, "Do
intimidated.
I feel like
He don't wanna do that. He's not
dealing with
intimidated. He's not
all the
intimidated.
stuff?"
Yeah.
Because he wants peace. And now
Mhm.
if I have to, now when you walk in the house, if you have all of this stuff,
Yeah, there's no
so
place. There's no place for him, and you've made it clear, and I've dated for a good amount of time, not realizing that what I was putting out was very unattractive, and so what I tried to do was just it's funny because some women will tell me that I'm wrong when I say I was wrong. "No, you weren't, girl, he was just intimidated." Girl, I am telling you I was wrong, and I went on Iyanla Fix My Life.
oh,
And
okay.
our good sis Iyanla shared with me in a very honest, upfront way that I could digest. Girl, it's you. It's all of y'all. And that's how I was able to realize, wait a minute, I'm doing something that's causing this. And the reason that I know that I was wrong is because as soon as I changed that, an amazing man showed up and the relationship went totally different than all the other relationships I had tried. The dating experience was totally different. Within a year and a half of going on that show, I was engaged. Within 2 years, I was married. So it was me stopping the
Well,
blessings.
I'm trying to listen, y'all. The constant in everything is you.
It's you.
And it doesn't mean that you're wrong. It just means that sometimes you need to balance it out a
Mhm,
little bit. It's like
mhm,
being opinionated. It's nothing wrong with being opinionated,
mhm.
except if you opinionated all the time and
It's
at
how
the
you
wrong
do it.
time.
How you do it. And it's
Right.
funny because if we're told, you know, I am a conscientious professional and I have like I write and I've been a writer probably since I was in elementary school. I have an editor that doesn't like me at all. Right? I know she doesn't like me at all.
Oh,
And she is so critical of every little thing. But I don't take it personal.
right. That's a
I don't take it personal because I understand that constructive criticism makes me better. Some things I take from her and some I keep the meat, I throw back the bones, but it doesn't
yes.
ever affect me personally. But it's funny when it came to dating, we don't take criticism. We take it all so personally because dating is something that we feel like is a better, it's a more connected reflection of us.
Yes.
But I think if I'm willing to make changes and realize that I could do better in certain areas at work, why am I not also willing to recognize the same thing could be true when it comes to dating?
Right. And we're all a work in progress in
Mhm.
every parts of our lives. It doesn't exclude that, except that women, no, not accept that. women have bigger egos than men when
Mm.
it comes to relationships.
Ooh, that's a big statement. I'd have to chew that for a
Yeah, yeah,
while
chew on it. But
because I think men have really big egos. I think they're different.
right, no, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. But this because women don't. You always hear about a man having an ego. You never hear
Mhm.
about a woman
That's true.
having an ego.
That's true.
That's just like, first of all, if we give you some,
Mm.
we got expectation. What you mean? I done pull my hair up in this little
Right.
bun, had my little red
Right.
thing on, and he don't
Yeah.
call me
Yeah.
every day
Mhm.
on the day.
If
What?
he don't call, oh my goodness, I didn't realize. But you know what? I had a guy friend tell me, one of my best friends as a guy, because I have a lot of really close guy friends. He said, "It's Crystal, you just have too big of an ego." And I was just like, "What?"
I'm trying to tell you.
He told me that I had a big ego, and I was offended. But because he was my friend and I had nothing to, there was no emotional tie, I was able to think about what
Hear
he
it.
said.
Yeah.
But if it was someone I was dating, and the problem is our girlfriends also give us bad advice.
Yeah.
That's why for me, I
We
stopped listening
co-sign
to
each other. Yeah,
girlfriends.
we co-sign each other
Girl, ain't nothing wrong
emotions.
with you. It's him. He's crazy. He probably don't even like girls. I mean, we just no, ma'am. Just sometimes be like, friend, friend, friend. Because I needed that. And there
Yeah.
was no friend that did that for me
Right.
because they're all usually birds of a feather are flocking
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
And so all of my girlfriends that are putting work first are all, you're fine. They can't handle us because we're bosses. They can't. And it's like, all of us need to just sit down. Who are you outside of being a
Work.
boss?
Yeah. But you know what? Men used to be that way. You
Mhm.
remember years ago, a successful man, that's all he talked about. So that's
Mhm.
what women could not take.
Mhm.
All he talked about is work. Oh my gosh, because he identified himself
Mhm.
with this success.
Mhm. Mhm.
He was the whatever.
Right.
And now you have women doing the same thing. Y'all
Yes.
got to know it wasn't attractive to them then.
That's really
It's
good.
kind of the same thing now. Like, if
Mhm.
that's all you can talk about, and I have
Mhm.
some good friends now,
Mhm.
we get on the phone and they go 30 minutes
Mhm.
without a pause
Mhm.
about a business thing. But as
Yeah.
another business person, we do that. But I say, make sure you're not doing that in your
Yeah.
relationship,
Yeah.
because that becomes daunting and it starts to come across as self centered.
You are 100% right.
Not that you mean it to be, but
You're
every
right.
time he talked to you is about you and what you have going on and how much
Mhm.
you got to do.
Yeah. I and some women say, "I want a man that can help me with my business." It's like, what about you? And, it's funny because my husband is, not an entrepreneur, he was a military vet, right?
Okay.
He and I got together after he was retired, and he told me, he was like, "Have you ever noticed, Crystal, that when my friends come around, they just wanna have fun? When your friends come around, you guys start talking about work?" And he was like, "It's not fun." And I said, "Well, we
Wow.
enjoy
Talking
that's
about.
what we enjoy, but that's also because so many of us are one-dimensional. We become one-dimensional because that's where we found validation.
Yeah.
So many women, specifically women of color, you gotta think about the fact that most of our moms were not business owners, and those of us that do have mothers that were business owners, that's so rare. We're a lot of us first, second generation college graduates and things. So these are things that we're celebrated. And it's easy to go where you're celebrated. I know how to do work because I've been successful here. This is an area that I don't feel as confident in. So I don't want to stay here. I want to talk to you about where I've been successful. But
Yeah.
a man really just wants to know you. You don't have to prove your success for a relationship. And I think for me, someone that grew up without a father, I was always trying to prove my worth. And this is an area that I'm shining in. And so I wanted to bring that over here, but I didn't realize that Crystal is enough, just Crystal, not
Yeah.
what Crystal has achieved. So if you're not loving yourself unconditionally, you will not find a man that will be able to love you unconditionally.
Now let me ask you this, Crystal. But before we go there, let's
Mhm.
go for a quick commercial break. And when we
Okay.
come back, I have another great question for you. We'll be right back in just a moment. Y'all, welcome back to the relationship party. I'm your girl Charmaine. I'm here with the beautiful author Christal Jordan. She is the author of Dear Alpha Female. It's not him, it's you. Please tell everybody where they can pick up the book, though.
So you can get the book anywhere. It is
Okay.
available on Amazon, Barnes& and Noble. You can go to the website. You can go to my Instagram. And I also have a YouTube where we talk about relationship conversations. You have to come on my channel. We have to talk because I'm really enjoying these conversations. The book came out last year on Valentine's Day. So this is the
Okay.
anniversary of the book. And I really want women that want a relationship to consider picking up the book because I believe that a lot of times, just like you would study for something to make yourself better, we have to do the same thing when it comes to
Oh,
love.
yes, y'all. Love is the thing. Listen, we know careers don't last always,
Mm-mm, mm-mm,
but we're all looking for that marriage that
mhm,
will.
mhm,
So that is the thing that we need to be putting, and I'm not saying divert energy, I'm just saying take some
mhm, mhm.
and put it over there because we do have some left after work, and if you don't, you need to find some, girl.
Yeah, I'm saying divert. Divert, sis. Divert because at the end of the day, work is not going to love you back. Work is not going to pour back
Mm,
into you. I remember I went to therapy and my therapist said, "What do you do for you?" And I said, "Well, I love my job." I love what I do. And she said, "Mm-mm, no. What do you do for that pours into you?" And there was nothing that I was doing that didn't have a financial return on investment,
mhm.
because that's how I was judging value.
Yeah,
And that's so wrong. I think a lot of times women are looking for we haven't been taught the value of what a man or just a relationship period
yeah,
brings into your life.
yeah,
It's not always about a financial ROI.
yeah,
And when you get into that space, number one, I know that you're not balanced. You're not loving yourself because you need to do things. First of all, your health, mental health, your physical health, your well-being. There's not always a dollar amount attached. Some things are invaluable. And so I am going to say divert.
yeah. And we'll take that, but let me ask you this, because we are living out,
Mhm,
um, something that we have evolved into. We talked
mhm,
about the evolution of this independent women syndrome, what it came from. We're now becoming more conscious because we're starting to see some of the results.
mhm, mhm.
And now we have the ability to, because ladies, if we can run businesses and companies, we can run ourselves,
Amen.
right? We can run our houses. And I don't mean running over, I'm talking about even the way we want it to look,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
Bringing the men back in, right?
Mhm, mhm.
What do you think is going to happen if we don't?
Mm. Well, I think we see that. I think that when I talk to women and I'm a writer, so I interview people every day, right? And I think we see a lot of people that have given up on even believing that there's a possibility to have a partner. My daughter is 28 years old, and my daughter told me she wants to freeze her eggs because she doesn't believe that she would
Wow.
find a partner, and she wants to have the option to have a child by herself. And I was thinking when I was 28, I wasn't even thinking like that because the idea that there would not be someone to have a family with, that family wouldn't be a priority for anyone wasn't a reality at that point.
Right.
But now we're raising daughters that are looking for lives. They're looking for they're creating a future that doesn't even involve the idea of a partner. And the same thing is happening with men. And I think when we're putting ourselves in silos, you don't see people valuing just real relationship, even outside of, intimate relationships, friendships. I have friends online. Well, those aren't really
Really?
your friends.
Sorry.
Those are not really friends. I mean, you could have some friends, but if you
Right.
but this is important. And I think that we're seeing people that have lost the value of that because they don't even see that as a possibility.
Right.
I tell women like if you could close your eyes and imagine any that you could have anything. Well, men don't want no, no, no. Imagine that you can have anything without the fear of being hurt. A lot of people haven't even we can't even think outside of those boundaries because we're thinking in terms of I have to be defensive, I have to protect myself because people
Right.
and I
All the fear of
all
protection.
the
Right.
fear. And so what is happening is and on the same in the same token, men are doing the same thing
Right.
because they're reacting to what they see. Oh, they don't need us. I'm just gonna have a lot of women because they don't need us. They don't want us. And so we're growing a generation that is living without the idea of connection and family. And I think when you do talk to people that have made it through, I interviewed a lady that had been married for over 30 years yesterday. And she just talked about the satisfaction of having someone that's been with you through seasons. That's a beautiful thing that I think we're growing a generation that will know nothing about unless we stop. And those of us that know better stand up and say, yes, I'm proud of you for being accomplished, but there's another side.
Yeah, that's just such a small fraction, and I
Mhm.
have to tell you, and you saying that I've been married for 20, well, it'll be 25 years in May.
Awesome.
We have 6 children.
Mhm.
We have 15 grandchildren with 1 on the way, and I'm gonna tell y'all, in my financial success before I even had it,
Mhm.
I always knew money could not fix broke children,
Mm. Very true.
right?
Mhm.
And so I tell people, I get it chasing the bag.
Mhm.
I get it because 'cause I've always done it.
Mhm.
But there has to be a balance because money alone, as
Mm-mm.
we see, does not make people happy.
Mm-mm.
But what I'm thankful for is not only our immediate family. My husband has a big family. I have a big family.
Mhm.
We have goob globs of associates.
Mhm.
We have good friends. Our what they said, loins are girded,
Mhm. Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
That is beautiful.
Mhm.
Like when I go up out of here, and
Mhm.
I'm not saying because it's perfect by any
Right.
stretch of the
Right, right, right,
imagination, y'all.
right.
But what I'm saying is, it's so much more than life, and money comes and goes.
Mhm.
If your
Absolutely.
job lay you off, then what? Where's your identity, right?
Mhm.
Do not attach your identity to that. In life, be well rounded.
Mhm.
Like we really have to work on that.
Mhm.
Like I
Mhm.
used to tell people, money don't make me, I make it.
I know that's right.
Oprah was Oprah before the
Before.
world knew she was
Yeah.
Oprah. So, ladies and gentlemen, really,
Mhm.
don't attach yourself
Mhm.
to your success because that comes and goes.
Absolutely. And your partner. I meet so many women that the first thing they say, I want a man who he gotta have this, he gotta have that, he gotta have this. And my mother always taught me that, if a man is truly ambitious, he will always get it again. But to base your choice of a mate on what a person has in that moment is extremely detrimental because what if he loses it all? You're going to divorce him and find someone else that has it. And then when that person, or what if you lose it, right? It's conditions, right? And so we're saying that we want a man that has this, this, and this. And as a result, you're going to find, I feel like fair exchange is not robbery.
Right,
So when you're looking for a man who's based solely on his pocketbook and he's looking for a woman based solely on her looks, then we see what happens when that doesn't work
right.
out, right? Because looks fade. I understand that we are trying to get everything we can and BBLs and plastic surgery, but at the end of the day, baby girl, you're going to get older.
Yeah,
And at the end of the day, money comes and goes as we see.
right,
2020, most people lost what they had. And so I encourage women, yes, you don't want anyone that's a bum. You want
right,
someone that's equally yoked. But if that is at the top of your list, what about character? What about integrity? What about what I wanted someone that would be a good example for my son.
right.
I wanted someone that would love me and that I really respected and loved his heart. Of course, I didn't want to get with someone that was going to be a financial burden, but I did want someone that I loved enough to where if he was going through something, I could still see him.
Right.
And I think we're not teaching our daughters that there's more to a man than just his pocket.
Absolutely. And I gotta tell you, it is the least thing because you can't control it.
Mhm.
And I will tell you this for my alpha female.
Mhm.
Let me tell you what I had to go through on
Mhm.
this. I had to realize in this, I'm a lioness.
Mhm.
I hunt.
Mhm.
But I
Mm.
didn't even know the animal kingdom, girl,
Yeah.
until I sat and looked at the darn thing. And lion don't hunt,
It
ma'am.
does not.
So if you want to go get the bag,
You're gonna get a man that's sitting.
right now, he's gonna protect. Now I'm gonna give
Mhm.
you a perfect thing.
Mhm.
I'm a lioness.
Mhm.
My husband is a maintainer, and I had
Mhm.
to. Girl, it took me months to get myself together.
Mhm. Mhm.
You want all of these things,
Mhm.
ma'am, and you want to go get it because that's the way that you
Mhm.
move. Who gonna be taking care of it? Like this, I have a fairly decent house. Who going take care of the house, ma'am?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So sometimes we have to, and I'm not saying my husband is a stay, like
Mhm.
you just stay home and clean up. That's not
Mhm.
what I'm saying.
Mhm.
But those are some of his attributes.
Mhm. I would say even further. This is something I know the women may get a little upset with me, but I'm okay with that. Iron sharpens iron, and it's not a soft process. I hear all these women say they wanna live a soft life. I want a soft life because that sounds cool right now. That's the
Is that
trend.
the new thing?
That's the new trend. I want a soft life. I want a man that provide, but a soft
Oh
life can
God.
only be achieved by having a soft mouth. And so many of us are saying we want something that we're not even capable of attracting, number 1, and then maintaining. Because if you want a man to give you a soft life, but you don't know how to be quiet, you don't know how to say, "I appreciate you," right? And you don't know how to take direction. If you have to be the one directing, sis, how are you
You're
gonna
not
get
having
that
soft
soft life?
nothing.
It's not gonna be soft.
Right.
You are in struggle. You show up in struggle, and you want him to look at you trying to give direction, trying to be the one leading, wanting to make sure, challenging him from the beginning, going on a date and challenging him from the beginning, and yet you want someone to take all that struggle and make it soft. No, ma'am. It's not how
Especially
it
a man
works.
who can, because he'd be looking at you like, goodbye, bye
I
bye.
I have a friend who I was talking to, and he is what they call a high value man.
Right.
7-figure earner, very, very he's fun,
Right.
fun guy, cute, all these things. And I have some friends, I was trying to hook him up with one of my girlfriends that's very alpha, right? And he said, "Crystal, I don't want that." And I said, "Well, what?" I said, "Well, she's an amazing person. If you could just get to know her and be patient." And he was like, "That's not what I'm looking for when it comes to a mate. I want someone that I can just go lay on the beach with and enjoy life. I don't want to fight." And I see that that's where she's at, and I respect that, and I'd rather be friends with
Right.
her.
Well, I got enough stuff going on myself that
Mhm.
I don't want to take on another business person's.
Mm-mm.
I got stuff, high anxiety.
Mhm.
She got stuff, high
Mm-mm.
anxiety. It just won't work.
Mhm.
So, guys, I gotta tell you, Chris, this was some great
This is good. We
conversation.
need to do this again. We gotta do this
Yes,
again.
because we really do need help at this time. Like
We do.
we're right here
Mhm.
where we're able to see results of what has been given to us.
Mhm. Mhm.
And now we can make a change though, y'all.
Mhm.
One of the things I do want to share, because when you were sharing about your daughter,
Mhm.
y'all, we gotta change. You gotta. This is not so much just about who you are.
Mhm.
It's about now your next generation.
Mhm. Mhm.
What are we giving them? And they can't emulate what they don't see. So when we sit here saying, I'm gonna do me, I'm gonna do, okay, well, wait a minute. More than you and what you say is what your children see. And I'm not saying by any means go faking and doing all this
Right.
other stuff.
Right.
That's not what we're saying.
Mhm.
We're saying take a little bit more stake
Mhm.
into bringing healthy relationships back
Mhm.
and letting them see
Mhm.
what it looks like, or we're just keeping the cycle going.
Mhm. No, absolutely. I think I tried part of me going to therapy and even going on a Iyanla, which I did not necessarily at first want to do, but was because I knew I was setting an example for my daughter. I knew that a lot of my example came from my mom. My mom was single and was single from the time she went through a lot of heartbreak, and then she decided she couldn't deal with it anymore, and she's been single ever since. And so it was very easy for me to see myself as being single for the rest of my life because of what I saw. And I didn't want my daughter to have that same reality. And so I was like, I've got to fix Crystal. Even with my daughter being an adult, she's still watching me. I've been able to go back and tell her, you know what, I was wrong about this. And because I want to break that, I don't want her looking at men as the enemy, as someone that's going to try to take advantage, someone that's going to try to hurt you, someone that you've got to get the jump on. That's how we look at each other,
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't want her to do that. And so I had to admit my own reality and fix Crystal so that I could help fix her. You mentioned the animal kingdom, and I just want to give this quick example. I love horses. That's one of my things. So I have a horse, and I had my first horse was named Paris. And Paris was she was what they call a dominant female, a dominant mare, right?
Okay.
And dominant mare translates to alpha mare. So Paris was always the one of the top in a group of horses. She would always be the leader, which made sense for me to be her owner. But Paris was also difficult, right?
Right.
Because Paris, and what I learned from dealing with her, God created that relationship to teach me about myself. I thought Paris was mean. I would call Paris, she would not come. I would try to pull her, try to ride her. She wanted to do what she wanted to do. She didn't trust me. And it was because she was afraid. She did not trust me to lead because she felt like she was smarter than I was, right? And I interpreted that as difficult. I would get ready to go to the barn to see her, and I would just be like, "Oh, Lord, what is she gonna what are we gonna do?" And it took me a long time to gain her trust. But then when I did, oh my God, we had the most beautiful relationship. But what I learned about that is God showed me that it was my fear that was making me come off as defensive. But to a man, he was reading that as she's just difficult. She's mean. But really, Paris wasn't mean. She wasn't even trying to be difficult. She's an animal running on instinct. And that fear of being hurt or not being protected was causing her to be what I deemed difficult. I try to pull her this way, she'd go that way. Pull this way, she'd go that way. And it's because she didn't trust. And trust is what allows us to be soft. Not trusting your partner, trusting yourself.
Ooh, I was just going to say, but you know what? We have to wrap it up.
Yes.
Christal, thank you so much. It has been such a pleasure. Y'all, please pick up the book.
Thank you.
Pick up the book. Christal Jordan here.
Real alpha
For
female.
female.
It's not him as you. And the second part of that is an interactive devotional help you to attract the love you deserve. And women get so caught up in the title. It's not me. It's not him. It's me. No, it's not. No, it's not. Girl, you didn't even read the rest of it. An interactive devotional designed to help you attract the love that you deserve because we all deserve love, right? And in whatever way it's coming to you, you deserve it, but you have to be willing to take some accountability. And that's why this book is a love letter wrapped in accountability.
Love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. We're going to do some stuff because we're here in the same
Yeah, I
lane.
agree. I
We're
would love
going
that.
to turn the land
I
around.
would love
Okay.
that. Yes.
All right, y'all. Thank y'all so much, and we'll see y'all next time.